United States in the early days, yarn was not a fiber of choice, for it was too precious, and it was kept to be used for making clothing and weaving. However, yarns and creativity materials have always been used in the Canadian Maritimes. Hooked rugs were originally created as floor coverings. In the 1970s, they became popular as wall hangings when American country antique collecting was at its height. The Greenfell Mission had set standards for hooking with silk stockings as early as 1916. In the 1930s, Pearl McGowan, working at first under the tutelage of Carolyn Saunders, has been credited for saving the craft of rug hooking from disappearing in the United States. McGowan popularized guidelines for fine shading with wool using various dye methods and formalized the study of rug hooking. In 1950, after an exceptionally informative week with 15 other rug hooking teachers, McGowan was approached to organize teacher workshops to further the study of the art, exchange ideas, and pass on techniques. In 1951, hooked rug teachers met for the first time of what became an annual McGowan Teacher Workshop. And when you come up to look around, this picture here is Pearl McGowan. So that might give you an idea of the era. These workshops exclusively used McGowan's own patents in recognition of the work and time Pearl McGowan spent each year maintaining this product. This tradition lives on today through the Pearl McGowan Teacher Certification and Workshop Program, and now sponsored by the Honeybee Hive Rug Hooking Patents and Supplies. Many well-known teachers have passed through the McGowan Certification Program, including Joan Mosimer, Jane Olson, Jean Shepard, and Michelle Massiccio. The workshops that are being talked about, also a good example of these is the St. Joseph's College 5-day workshops that the teachers there put on for students, and those are all McGowan teachers. Today, one can still buy rug patterns designed by many different people, including Joan Mosimer and Pearl McGowan. Some people trace their own patents. In other words, they'll take a picture of a product and make a pattern out of it. And there's a special way that you do that using, it's called red dotting. Some people trace their own patterns onto a backing of their choice, and the even more talented people make their own designs. And I know of a couple people in this room that does that, so, and they're very good drugs. In more recent decades, rug hookers have explored in new materials and techniques. This experimentation, combined with knowledge and respect for the past, will allow rug hooking to evolve and grow in the many years to come. Rug hooking today has gone in two directions, which primarily fall into groups based upon the width of the wool strips used to create a rug: fine hooking and primitive hooking. And we have some of each of that here tonight that I'll explain to you. Fine hooking uses strips of wool measuring 1 to 5/32 of an inch wide, and the designs of the fine cut hook engineer use more fine shading accomplished by over-dyeing wool in graduated color swatches. The primitive or wide cut hooking uses wool strips measuring 6 to 1/2 inch or a number 10 cut. So if you figure that a 1 inch cut, let me just show you. This is a 3 inch cut, okay? Or a number 3 cut is what it amounts to. So if you think of this as a number 3, a number 10 is about like that. So it's much wider. The wide cut hooking designs are generally less detailed and mimic the simplicity of rug hookers of the past. And I would dare say that the primitive hookers have kept the history going probably more than the more fine hooking. They're both just as much fun though. Wide cut hooking accomplishes shading and highlights using textures of wool, such as plaid, checks, and herringbones. In other words, they would have been wools that had been on hand that they could make scraps out of. So that's my little talk.